What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to another episode of Tuffy Talk Live Show, y'all. Really appreciate y'all tuning in here with us once again as we are back on a Monday night time frame that we have been looking to get back to for quite some time. So appreciate y'all being patient with us. We kind of moved around the schedules a little bit, but we're back here and rolling. So obviously here today, we're going to be getting to some of your questions that you actually submitted to us ahead of time. But as always, you know the drill is that if you've been with us for, is that just have any questions, thoughts, concerns, whatever it may be, send them in the comments right now, or just say, hey, let us know who's here. We'd love to have you joining on the conversation with us here, as UNC is actually absolutely putting a whooping on FSU right now. So all those thoughts and dreams we had of FSU pulling the huge upset over UNC is not looking too great right now, but that's all good. All we can do is worry about us, and obviously our disappointing loss on Saturday, 96-71, which we'll definitely talk to a good bit here. But anyway, though, so obviously, and Nick kind of mentions it there too. So I know Saturday was tough, but tomorrow we'll turn it around. And again, obviously, it's going to be a huge game tomorrow against Duke at 7 p.m. at Cameron Indoor Stadium to finish off this regular season. So looking forward to that. But with that being said, to make sure that we cover your questions first, we're actually going to jump right into our Tuffy's mailbag, and that'll kind of branch off our conversations from your questions there. So with that being said, let's jump on over. All right. So first question, which I think was definitely the biggest kind of eye opener over the last day or two, it has to do with this whole Clemson FSU ACC thing. But question here is from Landon Hodgin saying, thoughts on the recent releases from FSU and Clemson. What do y'all see happening? What's the future of NC State in the ACC or out? What do we need to do now to either try and keep the conference or strengthen our position in looking for a place to land? This is definitely a very loaded question. Obviously, a ton of speculation to, for sure. I mean, I know from what we've seen, which is actually a Tuffy's tweet of the week, which I can go ahead and show here. But I know that FSU and Clemson are both looking for a bare minimum of $20 million per year from the ACC in total payouts, TV, NCAA, AC Network, College Football Playoff, you name it. It all goes back to the grant of rights, right? Isn't that the term of it? The contract. So, obviously every single year that each of the teams are a part of the conference, the less the payout is. But are we starting to head towards the point where FSU and Clemson could afford to maybe buy it out? Yes, but I don't think we're there yet. But I mean, I think we're definitely getting closer, than we'd like to be for sure. But what are y'all's thoughts on it?
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, there's no way they can get out of it now. I mean, they're looking into it. It's like Texas and Oklahoma couldn't get out of their grant of rights, and they had 4 years remaining.
Right.
And those are two of the richest schools in the country. Because it's not just that Florida State's the exit fee. It's all you're giving up all your media rights. Mm-hmm. That's the grant of rights. That's you're granting your rights to the ACC. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I assume that Florida State and Clemson, especially those two, would definitely be looking at ways to get out of it. But I just don't see it happening anytime soon before like 2030, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's definitely a bit off. Greg, Macon?
Go ahead, Greg. You thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, so I did have an interesting conversation with an ACC person on Saturday at our hotel, and that person was West Durham. Yeah, and I brought this up because on Friday was kind of when everything broke with FSU and their board of trustees meeting, and he kind of just said like he expects something to happen in the next 4 to 5 years. He doesn't think anything's going to happen right away, and then he didn't sound as like people leaving the conference. He saw us as the ACC expanding. So now, obviously, he didn't mention any particular names of universities, but you can pretty much guess some of the players out there. You're looking at some of those Big 12 teams and potentially the Pac, whatever's left out there. But
yeah, that's a good point too. on that last tweet you had up on Clemson and FSU wanting more money. Well,
Mhm.
another way to do that is not just leaving the ACC, but adding valuable members to the ACC.
Adding revenue.
Yeah, and the key word there is valuable, right? Because you can't
Yeah,
just add
yeah.
anybody. So that's where the whole argument is like, well, everybody's like, we should just add West Virginia, right? That makes so much sense geographically.
Right.
West Virginia, really, this is more of a regional team. NC State, to be honest with you, is more of a regional team. So you would have to you look at how I can't remember which. I think it was the Big
Gotta bring
Ten
eyeballs.
targeted USC and UCLA. That is the LA TV market. So that's huge. That's part of the reason why they went after those schools. If you go after some, for NC State, maybe you go after a school like the Arizona schools that have Phoenix, which is not a great TV market. Maybe you go after, we mentioned Baylor, Oklahoma State. Those would be some schools that are maybe around that Dallas, Oklahoma City TV market. Or if you go up to like Oregon and Washington, those are your Seattle TV markets, Portland. So it's kind of like, but do they want to come to the ACC? And I mean, I was reading another article here. And I'm trying to figure out who posted it, but it was it's Extra Points MB. I don't know. Matt Brown is the guy who wrote this article, and he's talking about how if Florida State wanted to leave right now, or because that's who we were talking about originally, they would have to pay $120 million. And to give context, this article said, just to give reference, Florida State spent about $150 million for everything last year for them. So $120 million is not chump change. And one program. One thing I'm not sure how to go about this is the fact that Florida State's saying it is what's more interesting to me, because Florida State has a lot of history. But the whole thing is, we want, they're the ones getting ticked off because they feel like they deserve more. But what have you done for me lately, kind of thing? You had a good 1 year. So if you're really arguing that, then I guess would a team like, Clemson's done well. NC State,
Clemson's really the only one in the
NC State by fair. If it's based upon wins and performance on the field, that's what I tend to think it is. Then that's what have you done for me now concept. Then,
but you're not reading the fine print there,
which is what
the Power Five. I'm sorry, not Power Five, but the money sports. They don't care that you're winning back-to-back cross country.
But no, I'm saying I'm talking about football. Like, so let's say State's won, had 3 9-win seasons. Florida State has what was the record? They had a really good season this past season.
Well, and again, you're saying really good, but I mean, it was solid. But Mike Norvella hasn't done anything yet at FSU, and can he? Should he this season?
I think they're knocking on the door now.
But my point is, though, when they say
knocking
that,
the door and actually walking through the door. But I hear
when they say that, though, it's like, oh, we're entitled to it because we're Florida State, and we have the national. Well, if it's based upon performance, who's to say that?
To
Virginia in 2020 should not get paid more than you, Florida State.
They won the
Pitt. Why would Pitt not get paid more than Florida State? I bet Florida State wouldn't like that because they think, to me, it's a little bit of an entitlement, right? But if it's truly based on performance, then what about that year Syracuse won 11 games? Do they get paid more than Miami? Right? You get what I'm saying? Like, that whole argument is.
I think
has a lot of big loophole or open, cracks in it. I guess not logic.
They're still a national brand, though. So that's
not what it's based on, though. That's not what it's based on.
It's based on
eyeballs. I get that. So is it truly about TV ratings? Or
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think it has to be a weighted system. I think you have to.
Where would you weight it thing? Because I think that is the big discussion. Because if Florida State's saying, and all these other articles are saying, it should be based about wins and performance on the field. Well,
they have a national championship in the last 10 years in football.
10 years ago.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good.
That's one more than every one in the conference except for Clemson.
Correct. I get that, but I don't know how they weigh that. We talk about Pitt. Pitt's won an ACC title. Do they just
that doesn't get weighted the same?
They don't get paid. Well, if you're talking about an ACC network, really, are we going to? I don't know. I think it's logic's there. I think it's. To your point, Greg, I think it's what you're saying is the most truth there. It's like it's probably going to be most likely.
Well, and again, because here's the other thing I would say about FSU versus Clemson is that Clemson, you have at least, again, if we're talking the two major sports, men's basketball and football, right? men's basketball, Brad Brownwell, whatever, solid, won't say too much. I mean, I like he's not too old. Like, he's right there. He's going to be at Clemson for a while. He's done good things this year, and he'll probably continue to build off it, whatever it may be. Obviously, football wise, we know what they have in Dabo Swinney. Football wise, you have a basketball coach that, it's older than people think that he is, first of all. So, he's definitely on the back end of his career. And also, too, with football-wise, you still have an unproven coach who's recruited very well and has a heck of a talent in Jordan Travis. But at the end of the day, he's still got to get it done. So I'm just saying that I think it's very ballsy, for lack of terms, for FSU to be making demands when the coach that won that national championship, they ran out of the building. Just straightforward. They're going off of right now what they can be and what they were, but not what they are.
If Clemson was saying it, it would make a lot of sense, right?
Yeah,
Clemson makes sense.
Well, now now that someone's opened the door, Clemson is saying, "Yeah, we want our share too." Now they weren't the one kicking it down to begin with.
Yeah,
someone made that leap. They're like,
imagine Virginia Tech.
Hold on. You want this?
Yeah.
You want this?
Yeah.
We're Clemson.
Like, imagine Virginia Tech saying this. Virginia Tech played for a national title, didn't win it, but it'd be like, but what have you done for me lately? Like, we're Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's got more of a brand, some regard, or maybe
Michael
about
Vick.
as much of a brand. Yeah. I feel like Virginia Tech and NC State have a similar brand.
Yeah, I
but
think we've established that part of it.
So but my point is, like,
it's a good conversation.
I don't know. So
the last thing I want to say too is I think we had this. There was a tweet, I think it was maybe last year or something. Maybe it was before the season started, that NC State dollar for dollar gets the most on their return on investment, right, for what they spend into the program. So if you just take that little nugget, to your point making, and I think, obviously we were, having some fun bantering back, but you're spot on where we've had consistency. Now we don't have the championships, but I think over the last 10 years, I want to say we're third or fourth in the conference in wins. Like, it's not like it's to the point. We should be getting a decent amount of money if this is the model we're going to.
Yeah, right.
And Raleigh has a good TV market. Like, it's top 35, top 40.
Easily.
But I mean, go ahead. You go. You don't say much.
No.
So
no. All I'm saying is, again, it just comes down to that. Like, if we're talking the main revenue sports, like with football, you're seeing a track record of improvement. You're seeing a track record of competitive. Now obviously we need to take that next step and we need to start making it to championship games. We need to start winning championships, but again, it just always comes down to that. This is all still speculation. I think Hunter says it best, saying the Big Ten, the SEC can help offset the buyout costs, but that's a tough road, because basically you're putting your entire program on a teeter-totter as you're waiting to like balance from one side versus the other, to pay off one, enter the other. And we've seen this, right? Maryland obviously has left the ACC, so it's not unprecedented, uncharted waters. And then we already mentioned Texas and Oklahoma. But you're banking, you're mortgaging the future. If it doesn't work, you're going to set your program back maybe forever. So
that's where it's like, I know people that they like her, like the old, like who like the nostalgia and the history of it. Like, that's a little bit more me. I like that. But State would be foolish not to leave and go to a SEC or Big Ten
or anywhere where
it goes off
any of these schools, just go ahead and say that. So
even though it would be a huge blow, and I know for every NC State fan it would be, man, like, you're leaving the ACC, like, we were one of the birth partners of the ACC. We were the start of the ACC history with basketball with Norm Sloan, so Evercase. So that'd be tough, but again, just like you said, the money, you'd be crazy.
Maravich.
If everybody's leaving, though, if everybody's leaving, then it's not the ACC anymore. It may be the ACC in name, but it's not
not the history.
So
I think you're seeing unless something crazy happens. Like, the other part of it is we had this discussion a few months ago, and again, it's fair to talk about, but like, who would be those teams that would incentivize a Florida State and Clemson? Baylor's not moving the needle. Oklahoma State might be something that's like, okay.
Maybe.
But I think it's going to be
the
like
obvious one is Notre Dame.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's not happening.
shot
Yeah.
for them. Yeah.
I think it moves the needle for about 2 or 3 years when everyone's been there, done that, gone out to Stillwater, seen a game, and now they're like, all right, I don't need to do that again. And then you're back to what are they doing for the longevity of the conference?
What about Big Ten?
That's what I'm saying. Like no one's excited. We talked about this a little bit.
Rutgers
no
fans and UCLA want to UCLA.
Well, I don't even think the student athletes are going to be excited going to, a volleyball team having to go to LA on a Wednesday and then come back and be in Minnesota on Saturday. Like,
True.
like it's not for the well-being of the whole student athlete. And we talked about this. If you're going to do it for basketball and football, sure, go for it.
Yeah.
But not for like every other sport, like fencing and crew and
they may have to be this kind of things where you have the football is one conference and the other sports are different conference, because those teams they'd have to be more regional.
Well, and it keeps going back to there might just be a legislation branch just for football alone. Like it might be its own thing, governed by its own rules and conferences and so on and so forth. I think that's the model you're going to go to probably in the next 4 to 7 years, especially with the expansion of the playoff.
Yeah. Completely agree with you on that. Completely agree. Great conversation, y'all. And Carson says, let's be real, FSU and Clemson would destroy Big Ten baseball.
The majority of it, they just maybe one or two programs that could maybe hang.
Who are the best Big Ten baseball programs?
In Big Ten?
Yeah.
Michigan, Indiana's pretty decent. Yeah.
Michigan's
they've been to a couple series or two. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana is okay. That's probably about where it stops. Wisconsin doesn't even have a baseball program.
Maryland have a good baseball program?
Maryland does.
I feel like they would have a good baseball.
Maryland's top 15 this year.
Yeah. They're solid.
Okay. Brandon,
but again, I mean, let's begin. The ACC alone has 8 or 9 top 25 teams this year. I mean,
it's 8. It's 8 right now.
8. Okay. Still, that's crazy. All right. Moving on to our next question here from Colby, saying, kind of more of a fun question. Who was your favorite player on each of our 2 teams, meaning men's and women's basketball? And he asked about dark horse favorite, but we'll just keep it simple. It's a favorite men and women's player. Greg, you want to get us started?
Yeah, so for me, for the women, it's going to be one that you guys are going to be like, what? But Isaiah, I always get her name.
Isaiah
James. Yeah, so she's from Virginia Beach, and I lived most of my life there. So she's a hometown, person, and she went to one of my rival high schools. So I love just messing with her and talking a little bit about the 757 in Virginia Beach. So she's my one on the women's team. And then on the men's team, he's a big boy, likes to eat like myself. So us big boys got to stick together. So
all right, fair enough. Macon, what you got, man?
For me on the men's team, my favorite player to watch is DJ Burns.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's probably hard for anybody else to say otherwise. If it's not him, it's Jarkel Joyner. To be honest with
Same
you.
here.
Yeah, but it's DJ. DJ is just really fun to watch play. Jarkel is fun to watch play when he's on. I enjoy watching Casey play sometimes. I honestly find myself getting a little annoyed with Turkwavian because he just jacks up shots. But
we had this conversation
we had this Saturday. But it's DJ for me, my favorite player to watch. Women's, I honestly haven't watched a ton of women's games this year, but I still think my favorite player when she's healthy is Diamond Johnson. And that I enjoy watching her the most. I do like watching Jakia play. I like her style of her game. But that's about it for me.
So, and let us know too in the comments too, for those of you tuning in as well, who your favorite players are for the men's and women's team as well. Love to hear your thoughts. Michael, who you got?
Yeah, for the men's, it's got to be DJ Burns. Every time he touches the ball, the crowd just like when he gets the
instantly
pass,
applauds him.
Yeah, like
they lose their mind.
Do anything? Yeah. It's just it's crazy. And his passing ability too, I think, is part of that, because it's like he's got the ball under the basket and then just kicks it out, somehow makes it through the defense for a wide open 3, and there's nothing better than that. The women's team, I do like Isaiah James, especially lately. It's
Yeah.
kind of an easy thing to say because she won us a couple games with her clutch play down the stretch. That one, I just go back to that one like Euro step fake pass she had against UNC in overtime. I think it was. That was so sweet.
Yeah. For me, so for the women's side, I've made it perfectly clear who my favorite has been for quite some time in Madison Hayes. I always love Madison Hayes and her game. Like, she's a bulldog on the court, playing defense really hard, rebounding really hard, plays with a lot of energy. And also I love the white mouthpiece. It's pretty sick too.
Can I add this? Can I add this
Tuffy
too?
Talk guest. So
Friend of the show, right? Friend of the show.
Friend of the show for sure.
I really like watching Sanaya play, and I think she's still very raw, and that's probably where I put her. But when she moves, it's different than the other players, and that to me is like there's so much here that just needs to just kind of be tuned in, just so a little bit more. That like the potential with the Sanaya is what excites you more than anything. Like she just moves differently than everybody else on the court.
It's silky smooth.
She's like a natural. When you talk about natural basketball player, like
it's a different speed and athleticism and smoothness. It's just I think she's really good. So
hey, Leighton, I do need to correct you on something though. You said that Madison's a bulldog on the court. Not anymore. She's not. She's a wolf pack on the court.
No, I know. Well, and I knew that when I said it. I was just like, I mean, that's typically the wordage you use.
Of course.
I
just
just
want to mess with you, buddy.
But yeah, no, I hear you. So I would definitely say Madison, but I think Sanaya Rivers will grow on people more and more, especially heading into next year, even too. So. Especially because she could be one to make some noise in the tournament this week. So
I also think too, with a healthy Diamond and another point guard, you can see really Sanaya shine at her natural off ball position. She handles the ball because she's a team player, and that's what needs to be done. But I think she's much better off the ball and can create her own shot and all of that. But
which is funny too with men's basketball and women's basketball, there are these injuries where like you've heard rumors like they could come back for the tournament, but you also hear that maybe they're shut down for the season. And with Dusan, he might be shut down for the season. He might come back in the against Duke tomorrow. And then Diamond Johnson, she could be shut down for the season, or she could come back for the tournament. Like it's murky waters right now that we've gotten absolutely no answer on whatsoever. Only thing with Jack Clark is that we have heard is that Keats basically said either Duke or tournament is what he said. So I mean, it doesn't sound like he's out for the season, which is good. But yeah, anyway, then my favorite men's player, I mean, I got to mention his name just because, I mean, to me, I still love the fact that he chose to come back into Quavian Smith, and he's such a leader on the court. Like, I love, seeing him, clapping, being, just, really supporting the guys, even from the bench, whenever he gets his 2 fouls in the first 6 minutes, he's really cheering on the team for the rest of the first half every game. So, again, just to me, and again, because he is super, super talented. Like, he can be the most talented player on the court when he does, but as of recently, he's been, just like make his point, he's been frustrating. But in game says Isaiah James as well for women's, and then Beast Boy Burns for men's, and then Logan Tate says, honestly, one of my favorite men's basketball players has to be Thomas Allen because he is solid and has a bright future, and then Madison Hayes is my favorite on women's because she's got so much grit. I like that. Good deal. All right, so moving on to our next question here. Let me make sure I have this one right. This one's here from Benjamin Ormans asking, even though it's early, who's been the MVP of the baseball team offensively and defensively, and MVP of the pitching staff? I wanted to kind of bring this up just to kind of, lead into talking about baseball a little bit here. I mean, obviously, again, great start so far, 7-0, and again, you've really seen a lot of options on the batting side, but you've also seen a lot of really young arms. I mean, this whole series against Wagner, I feel like you were just highlighting all the freshman pitchers, and they were all looking really, really good. To me right now, I mean, I mean, like, if you're talking offensively, probably Parker Nolan, just because, I mean, his game against Coastal Carolina was ridiculous. And but then pitching wise, I mean, it's just all over the
Peyton
board.
Green too.
Yeah, and Peyton Green's looked really good too. Yeah,
didn't he get named National Player of the Week, or was that Parker Nolan?
He did.
Peyton
no,
Green.
it was Peyton Green. So,
Yeah.
so besides that, I would say hats off to Avent and the staff. I mean, because man, they have a lot of options to think about, in my opinion.
I did not see Peyton Green got National Player of the Week.
ACC was it national?
It was national.
Oh,
Today
wow.
at 3 o'clock, Peyton Green named Collegiate Baseball newspaper National Player of the Week.
That's big. Wow, that's impressive. Mm-hmm.
I'll read his stats real quick. He
needs number 47.
He's a shortstop. He had 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 7 hits, 18 total bases, and a 1.125 slugging percentage.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
State is only one of 13 teams who are undefeated right now. So
that is correct.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, by the way, Logan Tate confirmed said LJ Thomas on tripping.
That's what we thought you meant.
Yeah.
We didn't want to correct you.
We didn't want to correct you. I was like, that's so 2017.
Yeah, we're like, okay.
I'm pretty sure he's LJ Thomas, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'd agree with you on that, though, Logan. But anyway, go ahead.
I think so. Back to baseball. I think Sam has found a nice little role. He had another couple of innings on Friday, where he didn't give up anything, and then what did we give up? I think we gave up 4, 5. What did we give up? Like 7 runs the whole weekend.
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
Yeah,
I think it's less than 4 in every single game so far.
Less than 4, and then more than 7 in every game except for 1.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull it up here. But I can find.
And again, go ahead, Macon.
No, I'm trying. You talk. I'm trying to find some stats here we can look at real quick.
Yeah, so we knew that the early, we'd have some early season success with the schedule that we had. Now, the one outlier was I was surprised that we went down to Coastal and handled them the way we did. Now, it's not the same, obviously, the same Coastal team that won a national championship a few years ago, but that's still a quality program, and that you went down there and hung 16 on them. So,
for sure.
And that was Parker's big game where he had the 2 home runs and had a freaking beautiful catch against that monster wall. I just think we're doing all the little things. We're not a lot of home runs. I think we've only hit, I think we're up to like 6 or 7 home runs now, maybe 8.
I got a question. Have we only had 3 pitchers so far?
No, we've had more than that.
Because GoPacks website.com is not updated. That's why I asked that.
Yeah, because you've had your weekend starters throw 2 games, and then you've had, Sam's thrown, and you've Rio threw the other day for the first time.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So there's we probably had about 8 or 9 pitchers.
So your lowest or your best ERA? I'm trying to look here.
Probably Sam. He's got 0.
Sam has 0. Yeah, there's a few guys who have 0. Who have? I'm trying to look at games played.
So games played, I think you have 2 pitchers that have thrown 3 games, but
Baker Nelson has played 3 games, and he is a 0 ERA. So maybe Baker Nelson.
Yeah, but he's only thrown like 4 or 5 innings out of those. Look how many innings he's pitched. He's only thrown 3.
6.
6. Yeah, so I was close.
So your main 3 pitchers are Dom Fritton, Matt Willardson, and Logan Whitaker.
Correct.
And out of those 3, Dom Fritton is the lowest ERA. Both have 1 win. All 3 of those guys have 1 win. So Fritton, number 51.
Yeah. So again, to me, once you get Sam Highfield back rolling, we expect him to, man, it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be really good, especially as we get healthier too. We're on the pitching wise, we're still dealing with some injuries that we're still trying to get guys back going. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, Gino's starting to pick it back up. He was, I wouldn't say it was slump, but he. Again, remember, we've only played 7 games now, so the stats are going to look very skewed, especially if you've only thrown 1 inning and you give up 2 or 3 runs, or you only have 10 at-bats and you only have 2 hits. Everything's going to look skewed for a little bit. But
right now, all that matters is 7-0.
That's it. So that's it.
Only one of 13 teams in the country.
Take care of business.
Who is it that said stats are for losers? I know I've heard of that term before. So,
hey. Hey, they made a whole movie off of stats in baseball, right?
It's true. It's true.
Great
movie. But look, we're trending in the right direction. The competition is definitely going to start picking up here in the next couple of weeks. We have our first ACC matchup, not this weekend, but the following weekend. down in Miami. So we'll start to get a better picture of where we're gonna start falling when the season really gets going.
Yeah, for sure. Now I did want to bring up in-games question. Does y'all see ECU's now in the top 10 in baseball? Obviously after beating.
They deserve it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they deserve it. They beat UNC twice, once at home, once at UNC. I mean, good for them,
Hey,
but
I'm kind of looking here at your ACC teams. Wake Forest is 5th.
Yeah, Wake's good.
Virginia Tech is 11th, which I didn't know Virginia Tech was that good this year.
Well, they were good last year. They almost made it to the College World Series.
Yeah, I
Even
forgot
though
that.
they hosted.
UNC is 13th. Ugh. Louisville is 14th.
They didn't drop hardly at all. Granted, they
didn't
lost
drop
to
hardly at
ECU.
all.
They lost to ECU, right? But they got
lost to
swept.
Seton Hall.
They got swept by ECU.
2-0, yep.
And then Florida State's 16. Virginia is 19. The Wolfpack are 21.
Florida State had a good weekend series against TCU. That's
who is number 10. So
correct. So
right, TCU is number 10.
Yep, they swept.
So basically, what you're saying is that if you can go ahead and buy ACC baseball tournament tickets, might be worth your while because man, it's going to be a doozy. Just like wrestling on Sunday, by the way.
Wake Forest has the most wins in the country right now at 9-0.
Yeah,
that's crazy. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it's really is because you look at some of these here. Wake Forest 9-0, but Virginia Tech, they're 5-2, and they're ranked 10 spots ahead of NC State, and they have two losses because of the quality, I guess, that they're playing. Or
well, you lose one game in one. They probably lost one game in each of those series, so they haven't lost 2 in a row, or they didn't lose a series. So baseball is a little bit more forgiving with their losses because there's so many games.
But like there's one here, TCU. We talked about them earlier. TCU is 4-3.
Yeah. Well, they just got swept. So
Oklahoma State and UNC are 4-3. So
yeah.
Anyways,
it'll all sort itself out. Lots and lots and lots of baseball. I think there's 53 some games left in the regular season. I think they play 60.
Where do you think the first loss comes? Let me ask you that question.
It
could come anywhere because baseball is so random.
It's good. It'll be Miami,
right? In Miami.
I mean, you've got Longwood, which is Tuesday. The fighting Lancers.
Yeah,
Longwood Lancers.
Yeah.
Radford, which by the way,
the Highlanders.
Yeah, beautiful campus. I'm just gonna tell you right now. Beautiful spot in the country. Right next to Blacksburg, and then New Jersey Institute of Technology, which I don't even know what their mascot is.
Bad.
Looks like the fighting ASCII keys, I think, is what they are.
Something like that. But I mean, I don't know. It should be Miami. I feel like UNCG would probably be a team that I could see beat State. But it's so hard to guess in baseball.
Yeah, right. I mean, baseball, it's all about who's pitching that day, and anybody can win.
I mean,
baseball.
Pitching determines a lot, and I mean, so it just depends on who's having a good day, who's not. So now I do want to point out,
like a hot goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rusty says lots of speed on this team. Looks for lots of stolen bases. Gupton is faster than Trey. Lightning fast.
Is awesome.
Yeah.
He's a pro.
Yeah. No, definitely excited about him. To see what he can offer us, and then just like you said, Gino getting back rolling. So that's what I'm saying. Because I think it was Rusty asked a question about do you have an issue with our out of conference schedule? I'm like, we have 8 teams in the top 25. We're going to face a good amount of them this season. Like, to me, I'm going, we have injuries we're dealing with on the pitching side. We have batters that we're trying to get rolling. We're trying to figure out our daggone lineup in period anyway. So to me, I'm saying, hey, listen, I am not sweating having having an easy out conference because I mean, we're going to feel it once it comes ACC time. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Cause especially if you look at the rankings, we play every single one of those ranked teams this year because the Notre Dame is on our side. Is Louisville in the top 25?
They should be. Are they not?
I feel like they are.
If they're not, they're right there.
Yeah.
If not,
so we have
there.
FSU, Notre Dame. I believe we do play Virginia Tech this year. We play Miami. Wake Forest, we definitely play. UNC, we definitely play. So right there, we just named 6 or 7 of the ranked opponents right there, and you're going to get at least one series out of each of those teams. So there's 24 games. right there. That's almost half of your schedule against ranked opponents, if you think about it, because we play 60 regular season games.
Yeah.
So that's almost that. Plus we have 2 against ECU. So there's 26 definitely ranked opponents if everything holds serve.
And also too, I mean, and I think Coastal Carolina, is a team that can also sneak back to being where they usually are, which is, right there at the top 25. Yep. I'm definitely excited to see what we got here. But again, Longwood tomorrow will be big for sure. Let's see, to get that taken care of and get healthy, keep figuring things out. I want to kind of give a shout out real quick. Infinite Hate, giving some love to women's tennis here. A really good article on Diana Schrader was in the New York Times today. She's the first woman in the WTA. Say again.
It's Schneider.
Schneider. What I say?
You said Schrader.
Schrader. Sorry. Diana Schneider. She's the first woman in the WTA top 100 to play college tennis since 1993. So to me, you got to give a huge shout to Coach Earnshaw and the entire staff to convince her to, take a shot and come to NC State when, she could have easily have gone pro and made good money doing it. So, so huge shout out there. And then also to, I guess we can jump on over to our next question here too. Rusty also to ask a question. Discussion as to who the men's basketball MVP is if you were hypothetically voting. So obviously, to give a little bit of context, we did put out a poll of who the current, favorite would be for player of the year. ACC player of the year. Yeah, ACC. Which I mean, I'm sure that's probably
what talking the league or for state.
I think he's talking about NC State.
Oh, really? Oh, you think you're talking about state?
Well, I mean, he said, let's just make it twofold. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make it twofold.
That's our show. We can do whatever we want to.
We make the rules.
Yeah, we make the rules around here.
Look at me. Look at me. Okay, I'm the captain.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the captain now. Well, it's kind of interesting though that I mean, it's realistic that the ACC MVP, like if it was a player from NC State to win the ACC MVP, it might not be who we think is the MVP of our team right now, which is. I mean, that's definitely realistic right now because, I mean, I think Jaquavian would probably be the leader if there was going to be an ACC player of the year for NC State.
I
know not for us, but
I mean, not played in a way to earn it lately.
I do agree.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be when these voters go to vote. It's going to be a what have you done?
I don't think it'll be anybody from state. I don't think it'll be anybody from state.
DJ Burns is going to get some votes. I'll tell you right now.
You think so?
I think Jarkel should get votes.
Yeah,
DJ's going to get the most votes, I think, and
they're going to split it between the 3 of them, and none of them are going to get enough to actually
because nobody can defend DJ except Virginia. Yeah. I mean, they're crowded, but I mean, but nobody. DJ is unstoppable. I mean, unless you have to double him, and you have to just, get him in foul trouble. But I mean, to me, his game is no matter what somebody throws at him, for the most part. I mean, there's obviously the Virginia game. He's going to score and play well on you. So I think to answer your question, at least for NC State, I think it's DJ. Imagine where we would be right now if we didn't have how bad would that blowout be to Clemson if we didn't have DJ? How bad would some of these scores be otherwise? Where would we be that Wake Forest game on the road? We would never have won that game if not for DJ. I mean, you could go on a few things. Heck, you could say the same thing about Jarkel. But you can say that a lot more about those two than you can about Turquavian, which I don't think any of us really thought, and it's really disappointing to me.
Yeah, for sure. I
also think MVP is different than the actual award, which is Player of the Year. Because I would agree that. Well, I think I probably say Joyner would be our team MVP.
I agree.
I think that when you look at wins and losses, when he's on, State's usually probably gonna win. If he's off, State's probably gonna lose. So that logic, I would give that.
Well, especially too, because if Turquavian made some shots, stay out of foul trouble, and got higher teens, points per game, basically meaning he's productive, but he's not necessarily standing out like Burns or Joyner has. I would still say he would be in that conversation for ACC Player of the Year, but we all would say that Burns and Joyner have been the most helpful to our team.
Yeah.
So
can we compare stats real quick? If you're
player ABC.
Well, I mean, this one's kind of obvious, but
go ahead.
Really, so T has 0.6 more points per game than Jarkel. Jarkel has 1.2 rebounds more. Smith has 0.8 assists more. They're basically the same on steals. It's 1.6, 1.3, and blocks are basically the same. So their stats are just almost identical. but yet Smith is going to get all of the hype and love for Player of the Year when their stats are pretty darn comparable.
And I'll say this too: if you look at the NBA mock drafts, Terquavian was a lottery pick, he's played himself out of the first round in some mock drafts, so he's an early second round pick right now.
Last time I saw him, he was 26th. So
I think 32 is what I saw him last. All he needs to do is play well these last few games, shoot well in from a team. He'll be fine, but it's just like he's played himself out of it right now.
Well, especially with the tournament and all of that, where all the eyes get glued. Like the tournament is the thing, right? With the ACC and the NCAA. If we do both, if we do well at both, and he shows out, then to your point, he'll be right back in the discussion. But I said it a week or so ago, and I'm going to stick to it. We go as far as Jarkel takes us in these tournaments.
Yep.
Which again, it should be, and in my opinion, almost needs to be Terquavian, because he came into the season it being his team, and he's talented enough for it to be his team. And because again, just like what we're saying, just like I tweeted, we have not seen that game from Terquavian Smith recently where we said, man, Terquavian won that game for us. Like we have not had that in a long time, So again, hey, I have no issue calling him out, being like, T, tomorrow night you're facing Duke in Cameron Indoor Stadium. I'm looking to you to get it done for us.
That could be a statement.
Like, and that's not unfair. That's completely justified. Joyner did his part, and he will do his part. Burns has done his part, and he'll do his part. Now it's your time, T. Let's go. Like, put up or shut up right now. Like, we need this win tomorrow, just that way we can go into the tournament with just focus on winning the tournament, not like, well, we need to win this many games in order to solidify ourselves in the NCAA tournament.
Hey, real quick,
go ahead.
T's last 2, 4, 5 games: BC 17 points, Syracuse 14 points, Carolina 12, Wake 13, Clemson 10.
It's heading in the wrong direction. So
not getting it done.
And that, it's funny because that's 5 straight games in double digits, which for a normal college player is a pretty good stretch. But obviously, you have higher standards for him.
For T, for sure, 100%. So
I think he would have the same high standards for himself too.
He has higher standards, guaranteed. That's what I'm saying. I have no issue calling him out because I'm saying it out of love, like being bro, like
Yeah.
We need you,
brother. We need you, man. Like, come on. So, like Clemson, we needed you when Clemson was hitting shots early. We need you to go to the basket, make easy shots, not make these tough mid-range long 3 shots.
We're talking about
Terquavian.
Yeah, it's just shot selection. I mean, it's not anything more than that. It's forced shots, in my opinion, all of it. And it's not like I don't think where he's shooting is a bad shot. I just think it's when he's shooting. And it's like, and why is he doing it right then and there? Like, it's like, sometimes, man, like you're like coming down, you're not even caring to, move the ball around. Sometimes you don't necessarily need to. I mean, but because I think Terquavian can be lightning in a bottle. But I mean, some of these shots are just like silly shots. They're like, why are you jacking that 3 up?
Well, especially when there's no one underneath the basket to even potentially get a rebound. Like, it's just like,
that hurts too.
Chuck it.
Yeah.
It's a gamble for momentum, like to just really go your way. And I mean, you could say he is one of the best 3-point shooters State's ever had. So, but it's also by volume. It's also by volume, right?
Not percentage wise.
Well, and it just goes back to what Logan Tate was saying. Like, when he was shooting up those shots, I wasn't necessarily saying that's not your shot, T. Like, no, he can make those shots. But the problem is that in that situation where Clemson's hot, we need you to not be so risky. Just get to the basket. Also, too, because especially like when you face Baycott, when you face PJ Hall, the more that you can force them to challenge you to possibly get a foul, the better. Like that's as simple as that. Like, we need to get PJ Hall and Baycott on their toes a little bit. We can't go into the second half with those guys having 0 fouls. That's simple as that.
Right. A little bit more context. T is down almost 7% shooting from 3-point land this year. 7%. Wow.
Yeah. So again, that just tells me he's just making hero heat check shots too much.
Well, and I think like that's actually a good point. I don't know if you even realized you were making the point. It almost feels like he has to do everything, and he doesn't. Like he
doesn't. It's like you don't. Man.
Yeah, it's not like last year. Yeah.
Right. And it feels like at times he's forcing because he thinks that he has to. At least from the stands where I sit, but It's just, again, when he's on, just back off. Let him do his thing. Just sit down and eat some popcorn and enjoy the show. But more times than not, it's not been that way lately.
Well, and that's why people would say, like, shouldn't you take T out? No, because if he can get it going, there's nobody that can stop him, and there's nobody on the court that can do that. But and also too, because I mean, most of the time, hey, if he's not dealing with foul trouble, then you say, hey, thank goodness, and you play him, But unfortunately, as of recently, he has been, So which have there been terrible calls on him recently?
Been a couple.
Yes, there have been some pretty bad calls on him, but still.
And that's the other thing too. Like if you're quote unquote a star in the league, you would think you'd get a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt, but that's just not the case.
No. He does not get the benefit of the doubt for sure. Now, one thing which I want to point out is UNC is up by 6 with a minute and a half left. So
they're kind of closing the gap.
Closing the gap.
Well,
for sure.
They got
it was 3.
They got it down to 3, and now it's 8. I was watching the end of it.
Yeah. So UNC might squeak this one out, but anyway. All right. So moving on here. I think one more fun question here from Colby Pleasance here to wrap it up. Who's your favorite Tuffy Talk fan? Everybody, you're all.
I don't know, but I can tell you who it's not. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I mean, I think
we play no favorites. They're all like all of our kids. We don't have a favorite.
Yeah, no, gotta go, our family, for sure. But I mean, obviously, if I had to, kind of think of some names, I mean, obviously I would give shout out to, like Chuck Coates, Justin Cook, have been friends of the podcast for a long time, but also too are just, they're guys that eat and breathe a lot of the same as us, where, they're not supporting these big time programs, they're supporting wrestling and baseball, which I mean, even still baseball doesn't get what men's basketball and football gets, and Just Cook, I mean, he knows everything inside and out. Shout out to Chuck Coates for going to every single meet that Instate ever possibly competes in. So, so shout out to those two. But again, shout out to everybody. Really appreciate all the support. I mean, again, we just hit over 10,800 followers today on Twitter, which is unbelievable. Over 8,000 subscribers. It's been absolutely unbelievable. We can't thank enough. All the support and all of you being here. This has been a great conversation so far. So shout out to everybody, but also to our family and our loved ones have been amazing. Wouldn't be here without them. Endgame says there is a right answer. Members are more liked, more. Shout out to Endgame for sure.
Thank you very much.
Yes, no, shout out to Hunter and Endgame and all of our members as well.
Like we're giving an Oscar speech.
Which, if you do want to support the channel, by the way, first of all, a couple ways to do is, first of all, hitting that subscribe button, hitting that notification bell, hit that like button for us if you don't mind. Also, if you haven't already followed us, Tuffy Talk now on Twitter, Instagram, and also too, if you want to go as far as helping us, monetarily, whatever it may be, you can join the channel for I think it's like 99 cents or $1.99 a month. It's not much at all. We're not looking to get rich here. We're just looking to, cover NC State sports and have fun with you here as 5 NC State fans just covering NC State things. Simple as that. So, but one thing which I do want to kind of talk about here, obviously men's basketball, I think we kind of said enough about it, just let's see what happens tomorrow night against Duke. Let's finish out strong and go from there. Women's basketball this week, we actually just confirmed our winner of the 2 tickets for Thursday. So appreciate all you that entered, and keep an eye out as we will have some more giveaways here soon. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. But women's basketball, I mean, I love their bracket. I really actually like their bracket a lot.
It's not the worst, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Playing Syracuse, you mean?
Well, playing Syracuse, Notre Dame, who Greg pointed out, Olivia Miles, is dealing with an injury right now. That could be pretty tough. She might be done. So that would be a huge hit to Notre Dame.
Miles.
So that'd be a huge hit to Notre Dame without Olivia Miles. And then you face Louisville more than likely
there you will, because they have a double bye.
But you face either the 4 or 5 seed in the semifinals.
That's true.
Which is
Florida State.
Crazy. So either Florida State or Louisville as a 4 or 5 seed, if I'm not mistaken. So
correct.
So again, I mean, basically, in my opinion, honestly, for me, avoiding Virginia Tech as long as we can. That's
you're not playing Virginia Tech, Carolina, or Duke until the finals.
The finals.
Yeah, that's huge.
If you get there,
that's huge.
Yep.
Now, the one thing I will say that's not in our favor is we don't run a deep bench at the moment, especially if you don't have Diamond Johnson, and so you're playing that extra game. legs are going to be a problem when
4
you get to that
games in 4
semifinal final
days,
game if
yeah.
you get there.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you get that far. So
Yeah.
but you know
So-
what? You worry about that when you get there. So
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely look forward to. Now, obviously, too, the only other thing which I don't like about the bracket is that the games are the afternoon games instead of the evening games.
That's what we got stuck with.
But you know, it is what it is. So
Makes
no
work
big deal.
go by quicker in the afternoon. Turn
That's
on
true.
the TV.
That's true.
Yep.
Which will actually be on ACC Network. Oh my
Right?
God.
No Bally.
Holy
No,
smokes!
no
Shut
RSN.
up. Are you
No
crazy?
RSN.
ACC games on ACC Network. That's ridiculous.
I guess there was no. I guess the bald men that cover the ACC didn't have an episode that time.
I don't know.
Bald men on hoops,
Yeah,
I think was the
right.
name of the
Damn
show
I know.
that we got relegated to Bally on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. And then Infinite Hate, yes, the seeds for the AC Wrestling Tournament will be released tomorrow. And also, too, y'all, again, we put a huge spoiler out there today that we, myself and Michael Machiavello, 2019 national champion, broke down the entire roster and the tournament. So it was a long one, but it was a great one, y'all. So definitely to make sure you do not miss out on that. Again, subscribe button, notification bell, and you will not miss out on it, guaranteed. And also, too, got to give a shout out to the wrestling again Sunday, all day. Doors open at 10 a.m. First match starts at 11, and it goes all day until 7 p.m. is when the final starts. So, I mean, it's an all day affair of like basically every single weight class. All 10 weight classes have at least three wrestlers ranked in the top 30 in their weight class. So, I mean, every single weight class is going to be absolutely a dogfight.
And what do we say? Awesome. It was $10 a ticket?
It's like $10 to $20 a ticket.
No, it was definitely not more than 10. I think it was 10.
Okay, so
and
$10.
And I think it was 5 for 18 and under. So
okay, so yeah, $10 a ticket for basically
12 hours of entertainment.
Yeah, 10 to 12 hours of amazing entertainment. Can't beat that. And also too, Carson also too being the GOAT that he is, points out that Coach Banghart has still not won a single game in the ACC or NCAA tournament. For during her time at UNC. Go ahead.
Or in Reynolds.
Yes. No. So just saying. But again, we'll kind of deal with that as we go. And God, what else am I forgetting? Gotta get some tweets of the week.
How about Caitlin Tui again? Bringing the anchor.
Yep.
Yes. Oh man, what was her stat? But yeah, I mean, again, she just continues to kill.
She broke the ACC championship
3,000
in the 3,000 meter.
3,000.
Yep.
Yeah. I just I came across a channel on YouTube, a Caitlin Tui fan channel on YouTube. So I've been watching all her highlights.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And rightfully deserved, though.
Yeah.
Rightfully deserved.
And
for sure.
That was at the indoor championships.
Yeah.
The women finished 4th and the men finished 11th.
I'm telling you, just go ahead and book it. That when her time is done, she will be the most accomplished NC State athlete of all time.
I think you can make that argument today.
Even today, it's an argument, but definitely at the least a year left, she's ridiculous.
It'll be a no-brainer at that point.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, y'all, let's jump on over some Tuffy's tweets of the week. Here we go. All right, so our first one here, got to give a shout out to our boys as Isaiah Moore and Tyler Baker Williams are getting drafted in the USFL draft. Xavier, sorry, I saw the Z and Isaiah Moore got drafted number 36 overall by
the New Orleans Breakers.
The New Orleans Breakers, yeah. No, and they're both drafted by the New Orleans Breakers. Correct. So hey, that's awesome.
So can somebody explain this to me?
Yeah, what do you need?
How does this whole thing work?
Yeah, so obviously they draft before the NFL does, so they're still eligible for the NFL draft. They haven't withdrawn from the NFL draft. Now, they could have just withdrawn and gone and signed directly with them, but if they don't get drafted and they don't get an invite to a training camp, then obviously they're free to sign with New Orleans. But at that point, the season will be just about over, but all this really is that they'll now hold their rights. So if they want to pursue the USFL, then this will be an avenue for them, but they haven't lost anything other than nothing.
So it's basically a safety net, if you will.
Kind of like when Daniel Joseph got drafted by the CFL when he was still at State. Same concept.
But kind of the crazy thing, though, which is kind of crazy when you're thinking about it for these teams in the USFL, is that not only are just they trying to evaluate who they like, but they have to evaluate if they have a a realistic shot of getting them. Meaning, like, I mean, they're not going to draft CJ Stroud in the first round, right? Why? Because I mean, there's no chance they're going to the USFL. But they basically have to draft a guy who's maybe going to get drafted 7th, 6th round, maybe, and then if not free agent. So I mean, it's it's kind of a thing where you don't necessarily want to see your name getting drafted in the USFL, because that basically means that, I mean, they're saying that you're probably not going to get drafted in the top 3 rounds. But I guess I kind of made my point on that. So no, I mean, again, do I think Isaiah Moore and Tyler Becker-Williams 100% deserve to play in the NFL? Absolutely. So, but it's just cool to see that obviously some teams out there respected and like their game enough to say, I want to take their rights if they do decide to go to the USFL, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So shout out there for that. I want to make sure I don't share the same one twice. Okay. Wolfpacker also too came out with a little snippet here about Tony Gibson, saying that Tony Gibson acknowledged that he had a lot thrown at him after the season. I'm sure West Virginia was probably talking to him, even though they decided to keep their head coach. I'm sure that if Tony Gibson said, I want to come to West Virginia, they might have thought about it. But anyway, but he's basically said that it was special, that it was going to have to take something special to get him and his wife to agree to leave Raleigh and NC State. And I'll say this again, I've said the story before that, Des Kitchings, when he was the running backs coach of State, told me that, I mean, like when he was getting talked to about going to Furman, which was his alma mater, to be the head coach there, that, he wanted to go, but I mean, his wife and kids were like, I really don't want to leave Raleigh. Like, I really don't want to leave Raleigh to go to Furman, South Carolina. Like, that's just not really a great trade right there. So that's something which, again, has a lot going for us. Is that not only just from a professional perspective, I mean, this is one of the best places to be for a growing young professional in Raleigh, North Carolina, but it's a great family place. I mean, like I know, like Peter Laviolette, when he got, let go from the Carolina Hurricanes, he stuck around for a while, still actually kept his house in Raleigh because, again, him and his family loved Raleigh, North Carolina so much. Just to go to the fact that, again, I mean, Raleigh, North Carolina is a great place to be for whether you're a 20-year-old or you're, a family man or whatever it may be. So it's a huge shout out there to the area, and huge shout out to Tony Gibson for sticking around. Huge gift for us for next couple of years for sure. Any additional thoughts on that, y'all?
I mean, Tony Gibson is an awesome DC. I feel like State needs to build off of this even more with him. I think State's going to be sneaky good next year. And that's the way I probably put it. I think people are going to think, oh, State's losing a lot. I mean, Peyton
have lower expectations.
Lower expectations. I'm really hopeful that. I mean, let's put it this way: Brennan Armstrong's going to be the quarterback. I mean, they didn't bring him in for no reason, so he's going to be the quarterback. Him being able to do that in an I system. I mean, maybe it's a battle, but it's probably going to be Brennan Armstrong. And him being able to do that, I think the biggest question mark is your receivers stepping up. And I think. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so. Do we lose a lot on O-line besides Zavala?
Yeah, Zavala and Gibson. I mean, that's a big piece right there.
Yeah, two big players. Yeah. So I think State's going to be sneaky good. That's what I think.
I don't think we're going to have. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you there.
No, sorry, you go. I got to look something up.
Oh yeah. So I listened to all 3 of the press conferences today. Doran, and then Anai, and then Gibson. It was interesting. Obviously, Coach Anai said like every position battle is open. There is a competition everywhere, including the quarterback. And so, but you would just think that it's going to be Brennan Armstrong's job to lose because he comes in and knows the system.
I would wait a year.
Yeah, exactly. I am curious to see these wide receivers. We've been banking on them to step up. We've got some good, freshmen coming in with Vereen at tight end and Concepcion. Still waiting for Rooks.
You got guys like Jalen Coit.
Yeah.
Jalen Coit. You've got guys like Julian Gray.
Yeah.
Those guys could totally step and make some big plays.
I think the offense is going to be better than the defense. And I still think the defense is going to be good.
Well, and again, I mean, an in-game points are out right here how, Peyton Wilson made a quote saying that he thinks that this year's defense could be better than or more ferocious than last year's, which, is a bold statement for sure. But I
have the
mean,
context of going back here, like Peyton Wilson, Devon Betty, and Jalen Scott is a nasty linebacker core right there. I mean, it's not going to be that far of a drop-off in I could be totally wrong, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a drop-off from Wilson, Moore, and Thomas to
I think
Wilson,
the D line's going to be better than last year.
Yeah, I think
it has to be.
CJ Clark,
Palali, not Palali.
Savion Jackson.
I think of baseball.
Well, see, that's the thing is, I think on the defense line you have a lot of guys who should have done more than they have already. So I think like Savion Jackson, CJ Clark should have been guys that should have already been like sending radars off in the NFL. But I think
you back Aiden White and Cheyenne Battle, 2 starting corners, maybe the 2 best starting corner paired in the ACC,
and you got Harris at safety. Like,
it's not going to be. I just think State's going to be kind of like, oh, that was State's year last year. I also think State's going to be sneaky.
I don't know. And of course, we're going to be.
I'm not saying like going to win the ACC or anything like that. Could it happen?
I think we're gonna. I think we're right there in the top of 8 to 9 wins again.
I don't think that's out of reach. So
no.
To go to your original question, Leighton, I think having Gibson is a big deal. I think it's awesome with a coach of his skill level and his talent level wants to stay in Raleigh, and he, obviously, if a Power 5 school that's a major school comes along, he's probably not going to turn it down. But it's but you get what I'm saying. Like it's a huge that he says that, and he's. Yeah. I think he's genuine about it.
I think he means it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Michael.
Well, and again, like for example, like not necessarily comparing apples to apples here, but when you look at Oklahoma's coach now, I'm totally forgetting Brent Venables. It took a not just any Power 5, a top Power 5 team offering him
and a Brinks truck.
Yeah, pretty much. Basically a U-Haul full of money to get him out of Clemson. Because again, like if you're Tony Gibson, you're saying, hey, listen, I can make 7 figures a year being a defensive coordinator in a great city with all my family around here. I mean, that's a pretty good life. I mean, I'm just saying,
that money goes pretty far in North Carolina.
Yeah, no, for sure. Instead of getting instead of going into the head coaching world, which is very, very tough. So,
real quick, I don't know if we mentioned it on the pod, but a couple weeks ago I ran into Coach 2J, who's the offensive line coach for anyone out there that doesn't know.
Awesome.
He had a lot of offers and P5 offers, and this is the place he wanted to be. Just knowing everything about North Carolina, the coaching staff that's in place, because that's the other thing. Like, Coach Gibson loves all his assistant coaches, right? And like he's been able to hold those guys together for a couple years. Yeah. So again, it's about familiarity in unfinished business. So I'm still all in on this team, man. Like I don't think the window is closed. We just keep continuing to quietly recruit really good players, sneaky good players, and that it may not show up in the rankings of
Greg,
I think we're losing you there, man. Your internet signal. We didn't hear a word you just said.
Later.
Finished my statement. Yeah, I finished my No, I just said we're still doing our thing and getting better recruits in the team down the coast or down the.
There you go.
Either they can.
Well, and for me too, I mean, and we haven't talked about it either, but I know that one of the biggest questions heading into last season was running backs, but now I'm going, dude, I mean, we got options at running back now between Michael Allen, Jordan Houston, and Demi Sumo, man. I mean, that's 3 dynamic backs that can all do different things. So I'm excited about this team. And again, we'll talk more. But spring ball's starting. That's why I'm wearing my NC State football shirt. Spring ball's about to start here, folks.
So that was the thing I was going to bring up with spring practice starting on Wednesday. They've updated the roster with heights and weights. And so they, I think it was the Wolfpacker. Did a comparison of what they were at the beginning of fall 2022 to what they are now before.
Those are good. Those are cool.
Did you see that?
No, I haven't seen it, but I've seen them do it previous years.
I'll just hit on a couple of the outlier ones because, there's a couple plus 3 pounds, minus 2 pounds. But the big ones, MJ Morris has put on 18 pounds. He's now at 210.
Wow.
Who else?
It's all fat.
Terrell Timmons has put on 10 pounds. He's now listed at 6'2", 190. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be really good. Fred Seabro, who really didn't play that much. Said Seabro played a lot last year. Fred Seabro is down 20 pounds.
I was a slim down. Okay.
Jacarius Peak, who was a freshman, he's a redshirt freshman, O-lineman, has put on 19 pounds. I think he'll. I don't know about this year, but I think he will compete for a starting tackle spot next year because he's still only 285.
Defensive tackle, you mean? Or Jacarius Peak? Oh, I'm thinking of Jakevius Hibbler as a rookie. Sorry.
No,
we're not rookie, but sorry.
And then on the defensive line, actually. So Davin Vain is down 23 pounds. He's down from 295 to 272, which was interesting to me.
Smaller. So he'll be on the end. He'll be on the end.
I guess they wanted to get him faster, maybe for the pass rush around the end.
So Clark's going back. So Clark will definitely be your tackle.
He's plus 5 pounds. He's listed at 305.
Your best players in the field, kind of thing.
Yeah.
2 freshman linebackers who were pretty high. Who it sounds like coaches are high on. DeJuan Thompson and Torrin Wright have put on 17 pounds and 12 pounds each.
I think it's Dejon. Is it Dejon Thompson or is it DeJuan Thompson? Is it really
Dejon. I'm not sure. It's either Dejon or DeJuan, however you pronounce it.
And who's the other guy though? Thompson who?
Torrin Wright. They've both put on.
Both those guys. Both those guys are long.
And
fast, athletic guys. Lateral movements really good. Can really cover the field well. Torrin Wright was a 4-star linebacker. For those who don't know the background there, I think he's from the Kannapolis area, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and
right. The other guy, Dave Thompson. Let's go with Thompson. He's from Whiteville, North Carolina, so to kind of get in towards the coast a little bit. And he was, I don't know, he wasn't a 4-star guy, but he is like one of these high ceiling, potential kind of guys. That's pretty sweet. He's already showing up. That's cool.
Yeah. Now, the one thing which I want to talk about here to kind of wrap this up is Dave Doran got a 1-year contract through 2027, if I'm not mistaken, which I think is an interesting thing because, Greg is definitely looking to get in here. I can just tell
money.
Yeah, no money, no honey. Yeah, no,
no raise.
Oh, no raise.
He just extended him 1 year, right?
Yeah,
just extended 1 year. Okay,
interesting.
He tells he wants to be here a little bit, right?
Well, but again, and the thing which I looked up, so right now he's 51. He's born December 3rd. So I mean, 2027 is like I think he'll be 55, 56.
He said he wanted to retire then.
And he said, that he said when he came in that he wanted to retire at 55 and go run a tackle and bait shop or whatever. And so basically, almost what that's saying is that to me is that he's going out with MJ. Like if that does happen, he's going out with MJ Morris, basically.
Does Gibson become the coach in waiting?
Maybe.
Ooh, now that would be an interesting thought.
I mean,
Greg just dropped him.
I mean, I got nothing, but I mean, how old's Gibbs?
I don't know if they would hire Gibson.
Younger.
You think they would? I don't know if they would do it. That's an interesting.
USC hired Mac Brown, so I mean, anything can happen.
Think about it. Our last 3 coaches have been from lower tier, right? So, you Doran. O'Brien was Power 5. He was at Boston College.
But he was almost getting run out of Boston College. But anyway.
Yeah. But he's the only one that actually had head coaching experience because before that was Amato and he didn't have head coaching experience. So
I think it'd be actually pretty interesting hire if you want to go there because he fits the culture very well.
Well, and to me, it's kind of like, do you want to? Because I mean, if Gibson continues to do what he's done, which is make a dominant top 10, top 15 defense in the country, do you really want to let him go? And because also too, I mean, I'm sure Doran, you can bet every dollar you have, Doran and him have talked about it. The potential of like if Doran truly is retiring, he has talked to Gibson about that potential.
Gibson's almost the same age as Doran.
Yeah.
Okay, but again, 55 is not that old.
That's not old.
Tom O'Brien was how old when we hired him?
Oh, he's probably 60 when we hired him.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No. So it was interesting.
So Gibson will be 51 this year. So
Yeah, just interesting thoughts right there. But anyway, y'all, so thank you all so much again for tuning in here. And I guess I want to, wrap it up. Greg, Macon, Michael, anything else we need to mention besides, women's basketball this week, wrestling Sunday, men's basketball next week. We have our wrestling previews coming out this week.
Did softball come back and win yesterday? I think they did. They?
I don't think so.
It was going crazy.
So.
Like I know they tied it up in the bottom of whatever it was, and then they sent it to extras. I was just curious. I meant to.
Yeah,
I think they lost.
Did they?
Well, and obviously got to give a shout out to gymnastics as well. Still competing in top 25 as well. So got to give a shout to them as well. But hopefully with softball again continues to, ride this momentum and try and get some things figured out this year. We're still a very young team, which another thing I'll say too. But anyway, y'all. So again, if you haven't already, once again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever we release any new Tuffy Talk content, especially this week, y'all, with our wrestling previews of Michael Machiavello, 2019 national champion. That is a banger you will not want to miss out on for sure. And if you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed this conversation, do us a huge favor, hit that like button and give us a follow Tuffy Talk now, Twitter, Instagram. So that way you do not miss out whenever we do any of our amazing giveaways here coming up here soon. Thank you all so much again for tuning in. We will see you all soon. Hopefully we'll cheer on tomorrow with a huge win over Duke tomorrow. Go Pack, y'all.